one of the questions I was asked was, why is there a continuing acceptance of polygamy? And to answer this, the overall 3D meaning on Earth, you see what's going on with the culture. That's enough to already put put the world in a different frame of mind when it comes to relationships. They're a lot more open and a lot more fluid, because fluidity is the term that's applied to most relationships, truth be told. And fluidity's been going on for a long time, and I don't just mean between genders, but just the whole idea of the relationship dynamic. What people don't want to immediately admit is that there were more and there are more friends with benefits things going on than not. And I know that there are many who disagree with the friends with benefits idea until they really break down what marriage is. Marriage is not what you think it is. It's it deals more with twin flames than it does with regular earthly matrimony. Earthly matrimony, what you do is you take you and your partner as a couple, right? And you become an item. As a couple, the two of you become a ward of the state or whatever jurisdiction you're under. This is what marriage means, and this is all that marriage means on paper. We try to create a social construct around it to cater to it, but it only lasted up until maybe the mid to late 1970s. And then after that, we were right back to Sodom and Gomorrah. We were right back to the rites of Dionysus. We were right back to that. And we're deeply in that now as a culture. So the idea of polygamy, the other one, polyamory, these things are not just limited to Utah anymore. You have a lot of emerging information that comes out of the East, things that were already known but are being brought more to the forefront. And then you have the reality TV show effect also. And all of this can function like propaganda in swaying how your relationship goes. What if your partner, if she's female, is fully subscribed to the bridezilla idea to the point where she pushes you away? What if the guy is like ultra red pill, super alpha male to the point of going right back to machismo and jumping head first into sexism, isms? Those are separations. Anything with an ism at the end separates that thing with the ism from everything else. So how this spills over into a person's relationship, it has everything to do with what's coming in from the outside. If you can limit the influence of what's coming in from the outside for your relationships, and this goes for lingo, style, taste in music, taste in movies, anything that you take in with your five senses, you understand, has a potential to affect you. And then you understand the ones who are really working the hardest in this whole relationship dynamic are the incubi and the succubi. They're working hard. They're working hard because they're at the forefront of the lustful energies, the etheric lustful energies, the incubi, the succubi, which is basically all of the offspring of the archangel Samael and Lilith, the demoness vampire queen, also sometimes referred to as Loth, the spider queen. Their harmony gave birth to all the seductive, like I said in another video. But you had an older text, a discrepancy surrounding the idea of marriage very early on, because again, Lilith was originally given to Adam. This was Jehovah wanted to put her under Adam's subjugation. It's how a lot of the storyline goes outside of the canonized scriptures. So if you want your relationship or relationships to be truly successful, it's going to be on a case by case unique basis. You're going to have to be unique with what you do, with y'all, with what y'all do. It has to be, what's that scripture? You have to keep yourself unspotted from the world. What I believe it was James, what he was calling a true Jew, to rescue the orphan and to keep yourself unspotted from the world. So let's tie in the orphan part, all right? Because in relationships, a lot of people can feel orphaned, especially if they came out of a hard, tough breakup. These kind of things, you know, they're stuck without a partner. They're in between relationships. They don't have that special notebook with all of the numbers in it just in case the current relationship goes wrong. They have no old calls to fall back on. If they're stuck, or if everybody in that contact list has moved on and then they got their own things going on, this person is left orphaned, whether it be male or female. If the person is truly desirous to be with someone and they're not, this can be similar to being an orphan. And sectors like the dating world can function like orphanages. Your eHarmonies, your singles meet, Christian singles meet, all of your plenty of fishes, and whatever else is out there. All of your tenders. If you're going on there single and ready to mingle, if you're hard pressed enough to go online to go and get it, then there could be some orphanage going on with you. It's possible. It's possible. This also plays into the social awkwardness, because there was no real medium between social media and society. So you can have a lot of people just jump on social media with no social skills whatsoever. And social skills is a very big part of what makes relationships work, because you have to be able to communicate in and out of the bedroom. You have to be able to communicate. The better you are a communicator, the more successful, effective, and beneficial your relationships will be. Communication allows you to see what's coming, set boundaries, right? Because you're communicating. An orphan is looked at like someone who doesn't have a voice. They're just a ward of whatever orphanage or whoever's placed under their guardianship. And if they get caught in the foster system, they could be passed from home to home, feeling even more like an orphan, especially if some of these families are partially complete already. You know, what if an orphan who doesn't have his or her mother or father goes in 6 or 7 different households where it's man, woman, and children, and they're the outsider in every scenario. Relationships can be like this in the dating world, where the person, once they broke up from the person, not only did they break up, but they broke all the way out of that social circle. They don't have access to those same contacts. They don't have access to those same friends. They don't have those same opportunities for employment. They're not in those same social gatherings. They're not a part of the old regime, the old regalia. They're back in the wilderness. They're outside. They're no longer in-house. They're out of whatever that house was, that relationship was. And so the relationship landscape becomes this wilderness for nomads, whether it's a couple that's traveling or single travelers. It can appear like a desert if you limit it only to social media without having social skills in society. The more effective you are in society, the easier it will be for you to be effective on social media, because you will be bringing all of your acquired social skills to those platforms. You have to understand, as social media became more prevalent, you had a disconnect in certain functionings of society. You don't have the same kind of consciousness toward chivalry and towards certain forms of mannerisms and etiquette. A lot of that is completely lost. It's completely fossilized. All that represented being regal and being distinct. A lot of this stuff got washed away with time and the torch not being passed, and a few different time periods affecting people in different ways. So subsequently, this will spill over into relationships, of course. So this is just dealing with relationships, the energy itself, not your status, not your money, none of those things. Just how do you relate to another individual or individuals? So in a nutshell, love the one you're with, but do understand, if you should decide not to appreciate them, there's energies, there's spirits that'll sniff it out. They'll sniff it out from a mile away. Let you start treating your partner bad. The moment you do it, somebody magically gonna jump in their DMs. Even if they're not chasing, somebody's gonna magically jump in their DMs. All of a sudden, the person down the street is saying hi. All of a sudden, the person at the job is a little more friendly. Coworkers getting a little more friendly, because there's a disconnect sometimes when that lack of appreciation goes, because the landscape gets so thirsty. I told you we're in a desert, like a wilderness. The next person coming along is parched, and while you're conceited and you have a sense of entitlement over the little pint of water you got, there's a person who barely had a swig of water in the last 5 relationships, and they are parched. So the moment they catch you slipping, they gonna come in with the cape on and everything, male or female. This can happen. This does happen. It happens all the time. No matter what your money level is, what your salary level is, this happens. People get tired of each other, or people want a mix of some things, which brings us back to the P word again. Polygamy. You have 2 things that present themselves with polygamy. One is, if it were to go, a lot of women will disagree with it, saying, there's 1-to-1, you know what I mean? My man is only for me. Because if the reverse were true, a lot of men would probably want their female counterparts not to have a whole bunch of side dudes. But then you have some relationships, and they hardly ever get talked about, where the man and the woman, they together as friends, but they still have that physical connection, no matter who they talk to or who they've been with on the side. And it's not even on the side. These relationships now are, they're not couples anymore. It's two individuals trying to find out where their life meets in the middle. It's not like it was before, where two people needed each other in order to start a life. Not in this age. People have their lives so full to the brim they could barely fit another person in, which is why we're getting back into the debaucherous energies again, because people just don't really have time to try to work out a relationship. And you have a lot of folks who will take themselves out of the game, and because certain parts of the body aren't used and certain things aren't indulged in even the slightest, certain health problems can possibly ensue. While there is much to be respected for the vow and the lifestyle of celibacy, you still have people who are involuntarily so. So again, this is just scratching the surface on why relationships are becoming more fluid, why even 15 years ago the divorce rate was like 70% and higher, um, if I'm not mistaken. But why these things, a lot of the Hollywood couples just came out and said, yeah, we're together, but it's me, her, and everybody else. Yeah, we're together, but it's me, him, and whoever else we like that day. Why a lot more of that is starting to come to the surface. Because again, now we're under the divine feminine, and whether a lot of females in society will want to agree with it or not, the divine feminine is a more relationship fluid entity than is the divine masculine. The divine masculine is really the one-to-one type of energy, because patriarchy went like that. Although a lot of those patriarchs had their mistresses and concubines, right? Hence the terms. But there wasn't any too much talk about the Queen Candaces of the world, who had eunuchs in her attendance. This is a woman with a whole bunch of side dudes, a queen, because it gets frowned upon. But if we're gonna be really looking at equality properly, then what's gonna go for one is gonna go for the other, whether you like it or not. You see how these energies are being pushed upon us anyhow. So again, it's Super T Sigma of Sigma Programming. Love the one you with, and until you with someone to love yourself more. Peace.